guys are tough acts to follow. Let's see if I can see my notes here. All right, here goes. Tonight, I'd like to talk with you about young people in our community who now call this area home after traveling many paths to arrive here. Vision Workshops is a photography and visual storytelling program for youth from a variety of backgrounds, from inner city and refugee kids to kids at Bates and Annapolis High School. Any kid that we can find who might benefit from this type of mentorship. What you're seeing here are photos created by a group of teenagers from the Refugee Youth Project in Baltimore on a photo workshop we did last month on the Appalachian Trail in Shenandoah National Park. The idea was for them to partner up with one another and tell their journey stories through interviews and portraits of one another, with the AT serving as a metaphor for the journeys that they've traveled. This map illustrates the places that they've come from. All sought asylum in the US and eventually landed in Baltimore, ready to find new lives and futures here. The idea behind each project we do is centered on the belief that each person has a story to tell and that each person's story has value. And in this moment of a sometimes fearful and sometimes misunderstood approach to who refugees are, I wanted to share some of the stories I've learned through the work that I'm fortunate enough to be able to do. I wanted to show the faces behind some of the stories right here in our own backyard. News reports of refugees and global migration are so vast, so pervasive, and sometimes overwhelming that it can be difficult for anyone to get a handle on this issue. I had someone recently tell me that people are sick of hearing these stories, that we've become too saturated with images of people drowning in boats and fleeing from violence and hunger. That same day, I met a young man in Baltimore named Sartre. He has grown up in refugee camps in Congo, and in his words, has spent his childhood as a refugee in his own country. I thought, I'm not sick of hearing about his story. In fact, I wanted to know more about him. I wanted to know more because he and many others like him are now members of our community, members of the future of our region and of our country, and I do want to know his story. What I learned is that Sartre is definitely going to contribute in a positive way. He interviewed and photographed his new best friend, Rima, who also grew up in refugee camps. She was attacked by border guards and her father was kidnapped. Sartre reported that Rima was kicked out of 3 countries, Syria, Jordan, and Iraq, before coming to safety in Baltimore. Rima wants to become a policewoman, and she's working hard to achieve her dreams. Rima told us that she learned that Sartre wanted to grow up and work for the Red Cross, since that organization had helped him and so many other families in the camp where he grew up. Baradine, who had escaped war in Sudan, where his brother had been killed, showed us a portrait he made of Raissa, a refugee from the Central African Republic. During their presentation, they explained that they believe that Christians and Muslims can live together and work together for freedom and peace. This is Raissa, and she's a senior in high school. The next slide is Abigail from the Congo. His journey was documented by Loon, a Burmese refugee. Abigail's village had been attacked when she was young, and a rebel tribe had killed her grandfather and taken away her parents. She never saw them again. She escaped to Namibia and finally to Baltimore, where she was made fun of at school because she was an orphan. She and Loon, who also had to leave her parents behind, connected through photography and empathy, and learned that they both shared feelings of loss that their parents wouldn't be attending their upcoming high school graduations. Amrita photographed the map that her partner Sai drew as he told the story of his escape through the jungles of Malaysia without food, water, or shoes at age 12. I think Sai is very brave, she said. And last, this is Muhammad on the right with a gray shirt. He's a refugee from Yemen who first introduced himself to me as Miguel. In the past months, he had decided to try and pass as Hispanic for fear that he would be targeted for being a Muslim because of his name. He later decided he would use his own name during our workshop together because he felt safe with us. I found that all of these kids were scared due to their status as refugees and immigrants and confused by the rhetoric of this year's campaign. I'm here tonight because I would like to add my voice to so many who are speaking up for tolerance in our communities right now, for any attempts that each of us can make, big or small, to understand one another, especially all of the young people who are at the start of their futures here, to offer our support as they pursue their common hopes and dreams to become part of the American fabric. I read a great quote today by writer David Bornstein who said, "When people of different identities mix positively with one another, they come to like each other, and that is the great genius of American civil society." Through this project and walking together in an attempt to find common ground, we were able to take a deep breath and to try and understand one another's journey. Everyone has a story, and in spending time with all of you here tonight, I hope I've shown a little light on the stories of some of these incredible young people from around the world who are now our neighbors.